Imagine a teenager whose rebellion didn't just shake his family, it changed the map of Europe. This was Afonso Henriques, a young man who declared war on his own mother and sparked the birth of Portugal. In a world of shifting borders and ruthless politics, Afonso's defiance set the stage for a new nation. His story is more than a family feud. It's a lesson in how personal ambition and bold choices can shape history. The rise of Portugal shows how even small regions, through sheer will and strategy, can become powerful kingdoms. This isn't just about medieval battles, it's about how individuals drive history. Afonso's struggle with his mother, the harsh life on the frontier, and the cold logic of royal marriages all built the foundation of a nation. The relentless push for independence forged a national character, bold, resilient, and always looking outward. Centuries later, this same spirit would send Portuguese explorers across the oceans. To understand Portugal's global legacy, you have to start with the land-based struggles that forged its identity. The ambition of one rebellious teenager echoed across the world for centuries. To understand Portugal's birth, picture the Iberian Peninsula around the year 1000, a patchwork of warring kingdoms and cultures. In the south, the Muslim caliphates of Al-Andalus ruled magnificent cities like Córdoba and Seville, centers of science and trade. In the north, small Christian kingdoms like León, Castile, and Aragon clung to survival, locked in the centuries-long Reconquista to reclaim land from Muslim rulers. Borders were fluid, alliances unstable. Christian kings sometimes fought each other, sometimes allied with Muslim emirs. Power belonged to charismatic warlords and their loyal knights. This constant warfare forged a society obsessed with military prowess and ambition. Amid this chaos, a new territory emerged, the County of Portugal. A rugged frontier between Leon and the Atlantic. Not yet a kingdom, it was a vassal territory, a buffer zone on the edge of the Reconquista. Here, tough fighters and ambitious nobles could carve out their destinies. It was on this wild frontier that the story of an independent Portugal would begin. The seeds of a nation were sown in the chaos of Iberia's shifting borders. Portugal's royal story begins not in Iberia, but in Burgundy, France. In the late 11th century, King Afonso VI of León and Castile needed warriors for the Reconquista and offered land and titles to foreign knights. Henry of Burgundy, a younger son with little to inherit, answered the call. He proved himself in battle and was rewarded with the County of Portugal in marriage to Teresa, the king's illegitimate daughter. This alliance gave Henry both power and legitimacy. As Count, Henry ruled with autonomy, defending the frontier and building his own power base. He dreamed of making Portugal a hereditary domain for his family, but Henry died young, leaving Teresa to rule as regent for their son, Afonso Henriques. Teresa proved capable, but her growing alliance with Galician nobles alarmed the Portuguese elite. Fearing absorption by Galicia, the local nobility pinned their hopes on young Afonso. The stage was set for a dramatic power struggle. The fate of Portugal would soon rest on the shoulders of a boy. The seeds of rebellion were sown in the ambitions of a foreign count and his family. As Afonso Henriques grew, he watched his mother Teresa's alliance with Galicia threaten Portugal's autonomy. Portuguese nobles, fearing the loss of their identity, rallied around Afonso as their champion. Trained for war and filled with ambition, Afonso became the leader of a movement for independence. In 1128, at just 19, he openly defied his mother and her Galician allies. The conflict erupted at the Battle of São Mamede, a civil war for the soul of Portugal. Afonso's forces triumphed, capturing Teresa and exiling her and her lover. Overnight, Afonso became the undisputed ruler of Portugal. But his victory was only the beginning. He was still a vassal to the King of León and Castile. Afonso's ambition was clear. He wanted to be king, not just count. The fight for true independence had only just begun. The teenager's rebellion would soon become a nation's revolution. With control of Portugal, Afonso Henriques faced his greatest challenge, breaking free from León and Castile. He fought wars on two fronts, against his cousin, King Afonso VII, and against the powerful Muslim emirates to the south. Afonso needed a legendary victory to legitimize his claim. In 1139, at the Battle of Arique, he faced overwhelming odds against the Almoravid Empire. Legend says Afonso had a vision of Christ promising victory. Inspired, he led his outnumbered army to a stunning triumph. On the battlefield, his men proclaimed him King Afonso. This bold move was open defiance, a declaration of independence. But without recognition, his new kingdom was still at risk. To secure Portugal's future, Afonso needed the approval of Europe's ultimate authority, the Pope. The gamble for a crown had only just begun. Declaring himself king was one thing, convincing Europe was another. King Afonso VII of León and Castile refused to accept Afonso's claim, leading to years of conflict and uneasy truces. In 1143, the Treaty of Zamora granted Afonso the royal title, but not full independence. True legitimacy required papal recognition. Afonso launched a relentless diplomatic campaign, pledging loyalty to the Pope and presenting himself as a champion of Christendom. He offered tribute and promised to make Portugal a direct vassal of the papacy, bypassing León's authority. Decades passed, but Afonso persisted, reminding Rome of his victories and devotion. Finally, in 1179, Pope Alexander III issued the bull Manifestus Probatum. Portugal was officially recognized as an independent kingdom, protected by the Holy See. Afonso Henriques, once a rebellious teenager, was now the founder of a new European nation. The existence of Portugal was secured by the highest authority on earth. The long struggle for legitimacy had paid off. Portugal was now a nation in the eyes of the world. Even as he fought for recognition, Afonso Henriques never stopped expanding his kingdom. The Reconquista was his mission, pushing south, capturing land from Muslim rulers, and rewarding his loyal knights. The greatest prize was Lisbon, a wealthy, fortified port under Muslim control for centuries. In 1147, a fleet of crusaders en route to the Holy Land arrived off the Portuguese coast. Afonso seized the moment, persuading them to help besiege Lisbon in exchange for plunder. The siege lasted 4 brutal months, with Portuguese and Crusader forces battering the city's defenses. Starved and cut off, Lisbon's rulers finally surrendered. The capture of Lisbon was a turning point. Portugal now controlled a vital trade hub and gateway to the south. This victory energized the Christian cause and secured Portugal's future as a major power. The kingdom's heart now beat in Lisbon, setting the stage for centuries of expansion. Afonso's military genius and opportunism had paid off. The Reconquista in Portugal was well underway. The kingdom's destiny was now tied to the sea. The capture of Lisbon crowned Afonso Henriques' reign and transformed Portugal into a true kingdom. Over the next century, his successors completed the Reconquista, fixing Portugal's borders that have barely changed in 750 years. This stability is rare in Europe, and a testament to Afonso's vision and determination. The stories of rebellion, victory, and recognition became the myths that bound the nation together. Portugal's early unity and ambition soon turned outward, fueling the Age of Discovery. The same spirit that forged a nation on the battlefield sent explorers across the seas. Portugal's legacy is a lesson in how bold choices and personal ambition can shape history. The story of Afonso Henriques proves that nations are forged by conflict, persistence, and willpower. One teenager's defiance became the foundation of a global empire. Portugal's birth is a reminder. History is made by those who dare to challenge the world.